and thank you for listening to AI Success Factors podcast. We help enterprise adopt artificial intelligence. This is Samuel Matthew, your host. In simple terms, AI adoption is a three-step process: identifying the right AI opportunity, tying it back to a business value, and align it to a business goal. If you're a leader, needs help demonstrating ROI on your existing AI initiatives, or want to get a buy-in for a new AI initiative, you are in the right place. Our mission is to empower enterprise leaders to navigate, transform, and lead by applying AI into their business. In this show, we interview analytical and business leaders who successfully implemented AI into their business. In the conversations we feature, you will learn how these companies reach strategic business goals. It's a pleasure and privilege for our listeners to develop a point of view from the insights shared in this podcast. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Abhishek Gupta, a senior leader in product AI at Analog Devices, a Fortune 500 pioneer in semiconductors. With nearly 2 decades at the forefront of the industry, Abhishek has built a reputation for translating advanced technology into meaningful business outcomes, shaping strategies that span engineering, operations, and customer engagement, and more. At Analog Devices, he leads the enterprise product AI portfolio initiative, driving innovation where hardware meets AI. Earlier in his career, Abhishek spent an extensive tenure at Texas Instruments, guiding digital transformation across global functions and securing a US patent in EDA space. His journey is about a combination of technical depth and visionary leadership. This positions him as a compelling voice in AI-driven enterprise transformation. In this episode of AI Success Factors, we discuss how AI is transforming the semiconductor industry from chip-centric competition to intelligence-driven ecosystems. We will explore how AI is accelerating semiconductor research and development, optimizing chip design workflows, and driving smarter, more resilient manufacturing at scale. For CXOs and enterprise leaders, this discussion highlights how AI can unlock competitive advantage in mission-critical industries where speed, resiliency, and trust matters the most. Here is our conversation. Hey, Abhishek, welcome to AI Success Factors podcast.
Hey, Samuel, thanks for having me.
Hey, Abhi, for the semiconductor industry, we're standing at the most pivotal moments in history. For decades, success was measured in who could build the fastest, smallest, and most efficient chip. But today, that advantage is shifting. The true game changer isn't just chips, it's the intelligence layered on the top of them. Data and AI are becoming as critical as silicon itself. The companies that will lead the next decade aren't the only one designing advanced hardware. They are embedding intelligence across the entire enterprise. Let's start with that big picture. In an industry known for precision hardware, how do you see data and AI becoming equally critical as silicon itself?
You know, most of the hardware companies are known for selling silicon, right? But the reality is they do a lot of software. Hardware design by itself is complicated and they have longer lead times. But if you start to mix in or start to think about software, manufacturing, design, simulation, packaging, distribution, and so on, you start to see software, data, and intelligence play such a critical role that without it, it can take forever to launch and sell a product. This is why I believe hardware is perfectly positioned to take advantage of artificial intelligence to transform the enterprise and the product lifecycle. The 3 things that I wanted to call out in this space is really hardware alone is no longer a differentiating factor. To create a sustainable advantage, hardware companies must pair with data, software, and intelligence. The next thing is really about data. Data is a strategic asset. Think about all the high volume data that is coming in from fabs, design, simulation, and so on and so forth. And so the data itself is starting to be as valuable as the wafer. By mining the data and pairing with intelligence, companies can make smarter decisions, make products and processes better, and reduce waste. And just like data is a strategic asset, artificial intelligence is starting to be a strategic partner within the enterprise. But semiconductor space is uniquely positioned because with artificial intelligence, you can now extend the capability of the hardware itself, where silicon once set hard limit. Think about on-chip accelerator or adaptive computing, where the hardware itself dynamically configures based on the data stream. So to conclude, for many years, semiconductor companies were enablers of technologies like artificial intelligence through hardware itself. But now we are starting to see a shift where they're also a large consumer of software, data, and of course, artificial intelligence. And lastly, the speed of execution certainly matters, but industry might be starting to shift from who creates the fastest chip and provides the richest ecosystem.
Yeah, what you said is exactly right. The integration of software into hardware really become the new norm. The days when it was just about hardware are behind us. Now it's about how intelligence and software is bring that hardware into life and create a real enterprise value. In just last couple of years, if you look in, Gen AI has opened up brand new possibilities in research, product engineering. Before, organizations struggled to tap into these decades of knowledge buried in documents, research papers, engineering notes. It was difficult to connect, analyze, and reuse that information. Now, with generative AI, it's much easier to surface insight, integrate them into product workflows, and accelerate both innovation and engineering cycles. So the dynamics have changed in the past couple of years if you look in the business. So on that light, what are the top strategic priorities semiconductor leaders should focus on when adapting enterprise AI across multiple functions like engineering, operations, and customer engagements?
Yeah, so when we talk about strategic priorities, I like to think about it from three lenses. First, does it strengthen our core? Second, is it a measurable value in terms of revenue growth, efficiency, or differentiation? And third, do we have people and infrastructures and frameworks to execute on those priorities at scale? So really the good priority is somewhere that sit at the intersection of these three, right? Now, when we talk about how do you summarize or how do you kind of talk about some of the priorities in the semiconductor space? So starting with engineering, when it comes to engineering, it's really all about how we can make a product faster, cheaper, smaller, more reliable, safer, and more energy efficient, right? Which means how do we accelerate innovation and improve time to market? And it's really critical for technologies like artificial intelligence and automation in general to tie in directly into the engineering workflows and accelerate those product lifecycle while protecting IP. When it comes to operations, it's really about building resiliency around products, processes, and even people. Think about deploying things like predictive analysis around supply chain, or how do we ensure the equipment uptime is high, essentially, no, it's always on model. And not only in manufacturing, but IT operations is also a critical piece of this puzzle, right? When we think about customer engagement, it's all about how we can serve our customers better and faster by reducing friction. How can we create that sticky factor and a competitive advantage? And how we can improve metrics like attract, engage, and convert across all our digital and physical channels, right? Through innovation. So at the end of the day, the top priorities of the enterprise Very much depends on the maturity of the enterprise and the scale of the problem they are trying to solve. These are some of the really key areas to focus on in this space, though.
Yeah, Abhi, on the semiconductor industry, have we started using AI-powered assistants or robots in the production fabs? Is the industry there yet? What you
Yeah,
see?
absolutely. I mean, AI, of course, there are many different types of AI, and semiconductor is at a perfect place to be able to take advantage of all those types of AI. So just like any other industry, semiconductor industry is rapidly integrating artificial intelligence directly into the product workflows, right? So I want to give like three examples that the audience can potentially connect to. First one is around chip design. So chip design and EDA are time consuming and iterative process. So AI assistants from some of the top EDA vendors that were released very recently, they're already transforming this by integrating directly into the software automation and to optimize design tasks and streamline the entire chip development process. My next example is around the knowledge assistance. So semiconductor industry is about 70 years old, and companies typically have many products that they sell. This means they have a large knowledge base that they have built over the years that not only the engineers within the company use for their day-to-day work, but there is a lot of these publicly available document about the products itself that the customers refer to for their designing using these parts from the semiconductor companies. So LLM is a perfect solution to improve findability and inference of these technical documents, leading to simplified customer journey, right? And lastly, when we think about robotics, certainly it's what it was earlier. It was more about robotics doing certain limited type of actions. Now it's starting to be more like where robotics and generative AI are converging in exciting ways, creating systems that are not only capable of physical actions, but also reasoning, adapting, and communicating in more human-like ways. And this is going to continue to evolve very rapidly. So these are just three examples, but these kind of transformations are happening in every area of the product life cycle and the enterprise itself.
Yeah, those are really good examples of specific applications of AI in the semiconductor industry. Given that in semiconductor industry compared to other industries, the difference is because you support a lot of mission critical systems like military, aerospace, and healthcare. How do you ensure the reliability, compliance, governance when it comes to deploying AI in such high stake environments?
Yeah, so when you think about bringing AI in a mission critical environment, really the three pillars to focus on is robust engineering, compliance, and governance, right? So robust engineering means that you do rigorous testing around all the edge cases, redundancy management, fail safety systems, and so on and so forth. This ties into the product development process typically, right? During the development, you tie in to make the best product out there. The next one is around the regulatory compliance. So this area is all about transparency and traceability. Challenge is that with AI, you may not always be able to explain the exact reasons for the action. So in mission critical projects, you need things like audit trails or interpretable output so regulators, engineers, and end users can see the results and trust the system, why it's behaving that way. And the last one is around governance. So governance is all about how do we build confidence layer by layer, right? By putting together the necessary guardrails. It's about understanding who has the access of the information and who should have access to the information. So in a nutshell, just like any other mission critical system, you would approach this with similar mindset and put the necessary thought into building the system. And it's critical to use AI responsibly to get to a trusted solution.
That's great. Let's look at a futuristic view. How do you see AI ecosystems are evolving? Will partnership and co-innovation become more of a norm? Do you think collaboration in this industry is truly feasible given the things we have discussed about the security aspects of it, regulatory aspect of it? Is it even feasible in the current dynamics with the semiconductor industry, current landscape?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I think the way to think about co-innovation and partnership in this space is, and in general, it seems to be that we are entering an era where AI ecosystem is going to look more like a multiplayer arena, right? No one company can build all silicon, all software, all algorithms, models and frameworks, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So the key is to be strategic about where the core strength of the company lies and invest there organically and work as partnership model on the rest. It's with semiconductor companies specifically, it's extremely important to focus on security because a lot of these designs, that is where the real core innovation and the revenue and so on and so forth is, right? So it's really important to balance speed and IP protection, especially in AI technology, because it's even easier to find information with technologies like LLM, right? Mm-hmm. So the message is we got to have the right discipline in general. And, core asset and sensitive data are always going to be concern in this space. So practice things like security by design or zero trust principles. Train employees and stakeholders to see security and IP protection not as a blocker, but also as an enabler of trust. And I would also suggest that where IP is so critical, maybe think about going with a solution that is built in-house, right? So in general, remember, Gen AI is already becoming a commodity where you can spin large language models very cheap and very quickly, right? So the differentiation moves away from the model itself to domain expertise, security, and ecosystem integration. So I think the partnership and co-innovation model will continue to be an essential part of the ecosystem for success, but choosing the right solution at the right time, it's even more important and it kind of very much depends on the company's strategy and priorities.
So from your perspective, enterprise leaders should focus on the core strength that need to be built in-house, capability need to be developed in-house, and anything that's peripheral can be partnered and co-developed with other firms, especially around the security around semiconductor business altogether, correct?
Yeah. I would say it's very much dependent on the use case. Some of the use cases you can think of, with LLM and just kind of advancement in artificial intelligence, startups have been kind of funded really well, and they have been working on it for many years, right? So if you have a critical solution that is already available, that will be a great place to partner. And if as an organization, everyone's okay with the security part of it. But I think it's always going to be a tug of war, essentially, right, between what we kind of build versus what we partner on with, so many companies out there working on a variety of different use cases that many of them we haven't even thought about.
Correct. If you remember, this trend started long back when initially it started with the fintech industry for the small players with the niche solutions suitable for a particular part of the business. That's where this evolution started. Now, if you look into every single industry, there are small players able to make a significant contribution to our process flow and workflows, actually.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially at advancement in software overall.
Correct.
For many years, the kind of bringing up new frameworks, simplified language, easier to troubleshoot system, better IDEs, that itself
Right.
has brought the whole industry around the software to be able to develop things faster and innovate
Mhm.
faster. Now
Mhm.
with AI, it has even become even faster. So that's how I think about that.
Yeah, before we move into the final segment of our show, I just want to ask you this one more question. There is a lot of strategic advantage in connecting the R&D, manufacturing, and customer-facing systems for a closed-loop intelligence using Gen AI in the last couple of years development, right? As far as semiconductor industry is concerned, is this still a vision or the industry already beginning to take a stab at this? What you see it in practice?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these advancements have been happening over many years around things like initiatives like connected data, where you want to connect not just the fab within
Right,
itself, but how do we connect it
right,
across, right? So a lot of these things
correct.
have been evolving for many years, but I feel that the right technology in some cases, such as knowledge assistance and predictive analysis and
Mhm.
hardware to be able to do those analysis faster, a lot of
Right,
those were missing. And I think now we are at a point where we have hardware is, relatively much cheaper. Models are available.
right.
A lot of these are open sourced. The workforce is much more up to speed around the AI literacy and all those things. So I think we're at a point where it's kind of starting to look more like, okay, we had all these ambitions from the past. Let's start to
Right.
tackle some of the really hard problems now.
So it's a right time to do these activities, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were into the final segment of our show. You are given a fascinating view of where the things are heading. And I wanted to ask you, what are some lessons learned from scaling AI in a mission critical enterprise grade environments that other enterprise leaders listening to the show can make use of?
Yeah, I think a lot of enterprise leaders or leaders in general would be able to connect to the statement where it's easier to bring something up locally very quickly, but all the fun happens when you start to scale and productionize the solution, right? So with that in mind, really the top 5 learnings I wanted to bring up here was starting with vision clarity and alignment with the enterprise goal is absolutely needed. Scaling AI solution is not just about technology. It's really about how we connect every use case to the organizational strategic priority. And without this top high level alignment and unclear ROI, the project starts to become a science experiment, right? So my next learning is around product challenges. Artificial intelligence is new technologically by itself. So, and the key about artificial intelligence is it's not just software or data or platform or infrastructure or compliance and so on. It's actually all of them connected together, right? So expect a lot of roadblocks while implementing this. So really the lesson here is resilience. You need to have strong cross-functional team partnership who can unblock each other quickly and move and deliver fast. My next one is around trust and overcoming objection. You need to have the mindset of overcoming objection. You have technology is new, ROI management is still trying to figure out, it's in the development, it will be realized over time, right? So you will face a lot of these objections. And so, but the challenge is the mission critical projects run on trust, right?
Right.
Employees and customers must trust the AI output. This means explainability, strong governance, clear escalation path. All of these things have to be figured out to bring the trust. So I think really the learning is that don't leave this area of trusting and overcoming objection for until later. Start from the beginning. My next one is around scaling literacy, AI literacy across the enterprise. So, and this is one of the things that are pretty overlooked lesson in general, but scaling AI requires scaling understanding. You can't just train the model, you have to train the people also. So enterprise must deploy literacy programs so that the business users, the frontier staff, and the executives can be on the same page and make the right decision, right? And the last one around the learnings is iterate and don't kind of strive to deliver just one big production product. Right. Start with one or two high-level value use cases, demonstrate credibility, and then scale incrementally. So in short, AI technology is powerful, but trust is invaluable, right? So leaders must stay focused on business value, apply first principle thinking, make data-driven decisions, stay customer-centric at all time, execute with confidence and precision, and above all, work tirelessly to earn trust. So, yep.
That was a fabulous conversation, Abhi. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and experience.
Yeah, thanks again, Samuel. It was a pleasure to be here, and look forward to your next talk.
Absolutely. As we heard today, the semiconductor industry is no longer just about hiding faster, smaller, and efficient chips. The real differentiator is how companies harness AI. Here are the three takeaways from today's conversation. The one big theme from our conversation today is that hardware alone is not enough. The semiconductor industry is moving towards a future where data, software, and AI are just important as silicon itself. Companies that integrate intelligence with their chips will be the pace of innovation going forward. Another clear message is that AI priorities extend well beyond engineering, from accelerating chip design to creating seamless customer experience. The opportunity for AI is enterprise-wide. The winners will be those who can apply it consistently across R&D, manufacturing, customer engagement, and to create measurable business value. And finally, scaling AI in mission-critical industries is much more than technology. It requires robust engineering, strong governance, and trust at every level. I'm hoping that CXOs and executive leaders find this episode useful. Thank you so much, our listeners, for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious and keep pushing the boundaries of what AI can achieve. Thank you. If you like today's podcast, please be sure to leave a 5-star review. Your feedback is important. We always look for comments and recommendations to improve. This show is available on Apple Podcast, Google, and SoundCloud. Please do subscribe. Plus, you can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. You can find the links to these pages in the show notes or by visiting us at aisuccessfactors.com. We publish episodes bi-weekly on Wednesdays. Please be sure to tune in for the next episode. Thank you and see you next time.